For melting oils and butters, you have to be really careful not to heat them, overheat them, and burn the oils and the butters and waxes because it's so easy, especially if you're only making, a small sample size, it can burn so easily. So here's just a few things like I use all different ways. And this is one, this is a small water bath, and I talk about this in the equipment. But you can put just a small beaker like this, and you can actually infuse a lot of oil in that and make your balm in a beaker. And I like using water baths, and it's just sometimes it's like it depends on how much you're going to make. It's not feasible if you're making a huge batch. Then there's equipment for that that will help you with that if you're that big. But then there's something like this. You fill up. This is a larger water bath, and you can do quite a bit for something like this. But you have to know how much your batch size is and what you want to do. But this is a really gentle heat method. The other options is a burner, just directly on the burner. You can make a water bath even on the burner by putting, a pot with water in it at the bottom, and then you put either your beaker inside that. It should be like raised up a little bit. They call it like a double boiler system. There's bain maries where you can put inside the pot with the water so that it will raise your whatever, if it's a beaker, a little pot in there, it will raise it up so that it doesn't touch the bottom of the pot. So I'm just going to melt it today to show you on this burner, just because it's simple, and I'll watch it the whole time. But you want to be so careful because the oils and the waxes, all of a sudden they just heat up so fast, and it gets to smoke point, and it's not good then to use those on the skin. So think about like how you're going to be melting, and the batch sizes that you're going to use, because all that really matters. There are so many ways to infuse herbs into oil, and so for an anhydrous beauty balm, you need to infuse into oil. Everything has to be oil-based, every ingredient. So it's really easy to make your own infused herbal oil, botanical oil. And people ask me all the time, well, what's the most effective? What's the most effective? Well, there just isn't, there isn't any proven way about this is the most effective. And, I talk about like different students in the past that, and people clients I've consulted with that actually put their infused oils into a pharmaceutical lab for testing to see the nutrients that come from it, and like even the amounts, and it can cost you $100,000, and there's not really kind of conclusive, evidence. So basically we have what's called traditional, information that's been handed down by generations for a long time. And there's so many different ways, even how I learned from different teachers, even a seventh generational Mayan healer. And there's just all many different ways. So what I do for my balms, I like to just, I like to kind of play by, my sense and how I think of things. Sometimes I don't, like you can refer to the herbal section, Herbs 101, even for infusing oil, because that's a great method. But sometimes I just want simple. And so I have a 9 herbal blend that I use, because I learned that from the Mayan healer for 9 plants and the meaning of them. And I just put it like in here, and I just break them down some, just to break some of the little pieces, just part of the plant, just to expose it. And so I'll do that. And then what I'll do is, so you have options. You can either hydrate it with a little bit of high proof alcohol, or vodka that's like 100 proof, just because plants have water components and oil components that are beneficial, and it helps to extract it some. You can do that or not. So like many herbalists do not use that method. It's just they use a simple method. They then just cover this with oil. I usually don't let it set for 6 weeks in a dark place. Many herbalists do. I just usually warm up the, infuse it in the oil, and I do that in like a water bath, because that one, the water bath, I set the temperature, and I'll do it for, how I was taught from the Mayan healers, to heat it up like for 30 minutes for 3 days in a row. So many times I'll do that. Sometimes I'll just do it for like uh, 12 to 20 hours, warm it, but it never gets, to a hot temperature. It's always barely warm, because you just want it barely warm. And so that's how I make, my beauty balms. And then I use, this is what's called Gromwell root. And Gromwell root is excellent for the skin, as far as, soothing it, softening it, and it's been known as a herb for the skin. And so what it does is, when you infuse it in, you just drop it into the oil, and you can let it sit in there for a while, or even warm it up. And I'll just drop it in like some oil that I have, a base oil, and let it set that way, and the color come through. And the color comes through depending on the color of your oils. So like, say you're going to use like organic MCT coconut oil, that's clear. It comes through like this beautiful pink. If you're going to do it like in sunflower oil that has more of a yellow color to it, it changes. It's a little bit different. So like this balm, if you could see, I've that I make, I infuse safflowers, and I infuse astaxanthin, which is one of the things that the herbs that I love to use, because it's so antioxidant for the skin. And so it's like, this is the color of the oil when I infuse it. So it gives like a pinkish color, because there's Gromwell root in it. So that has like safflowers, astaxanthin, Gromwell root, and calendula in this oil. And then that is kind of like a base oil that I use, that I infuse. And then I infuse my, my 9 botanical blend into that, or I include that already, those, how many did I say? Those astaxanthin. I'm looking at my oil. So here, I can show you right now. This is how I do my oil. It's with calendula, safflowers, and astaxanthin. This is like a base oil that I do, and I infuse it like into sunflower oil or safflower oil, and then I always have this to use. And then it's like, so there's already 1, 2, 3 in here, so I can do a 6 blend of flowers, which is equals to 9, or 6 herbs, which equals to 9. So I like to play. I like to have fun, because I think that's what it's about. It's the intention when you're making it is important, and it's to have fun. So you can see from this color, it's not like a real light pink. If I didn't put the astaxanthin in there, then it's this beautiful, like a more of a pink color. So Gromwell root is a great one to use, that has skin benefits, and then it just happens to color your formulation, because that's something to know. Again, in the United States, the FDA regulates colors, and it's, if it's not approved, like an FD&C colorant or a mica or something like that, technically you cannot say naturally colored, because it's not approved by the FDA. But if it has skin properties, and then it just happens to color your balm, then that's okay. So I think that you can play and have so much fun developing your beauty balm and infusing your oil. And you could just keep that infused oil. I strain the herbs out. I don't leave it sitting with the herbs, but refer to like even the herbal lesson, the herbs lesson for infusing into oil for other ways.